Rihanna.
I like doing that. It's fun. I probably do it way more often than would be entertaining if anyone ever marathons these. Oh, the collage. La 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 la.
You're sort of Dopplering in and out. La, 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 la.
I'll go.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yee. It was fun.
I like all the like found objects and things.
Yeah. Me too. Um, I did. I tore apart this horrible little picture frame with the mosaic and repieced it. The
Hmm.
one that's in the behind,
Oh yeah.
and then there's some of it ended up here, and then I
Hmm.
found this little crab, and I was like, oh, the crab, he needs to be carrying some of it from one to the other, and uh, and we've got my old late great favorite spatula here,
I
which
can tell it was your favorite.
yeah,
It lived
and
a
we
long life.
continued using it even after the handle got left overhanging a hot burner, and this little sculptural thing behind the key is
Hmm.
what in fact happened to the handle. It melted and created this sculpture thing. I might actually move the key because the sculpture is looking too. Yeah, yeah. The key didn't even want to be there. We'll put it somewhere else. But yeah, it was epic. So now they are reunited, sort of, in art form. Yes.
I like it. It's making me think about my favorite spatula, which is um 15 years old now. Because I
Wow,
bought it, but it's a bamboo one, so if I leave it on the burner, it doesn't melt.
that's
But
cool.
it's starting to get a bit blunt. I'm like, should I just like sand this down and resharpen it? I probably could.
One of the things they never tell you about when they're like, oh, you're going to grow up and have to deal with taxes, they never tell you you will have a favorite spatula and you will become very attached to it and put it in a collage art piece when it finally fails. We haven't gotten as one as good as that since then.
Yeah, you have a favorite spatula, and there's always like a particular spoon that you disapprove of, and you won't use it
Yeah.
unless you have a set that are all the same. But even then, it's like there's a size that's better.
Or there's one that's accidentally been through the garbage disposal and it's all banged
Mm-hmm.
up and you don't like that texture in your yogurt.
Right. Right. Or yeah, when I was when I was living with the roommates, we had a wide variety of cutlery, and it was like, okay, this is a good spoon. This is a bad spoon.
When we were young, when we were kids, there was a spoon that had been hit by the blade of the garbage disposal at such an angle that it had sheared, like, here's the convex part of the spoon, and it had sheared a flat spot onto the part of the spoon, and that was actually my favorite spoon because it was startling to eat from it because your mouth is expecting a convex shape, and it is, except this one part that's flat. You're like,
I just remember ones that had gotten hit with the garbage disposal on the edge, so then there was like a little sharp point on it. Yeah.
evil, evil, accidental spork. Yes. And I started doing that because I was watching an Amanda Palmer live stream. She was doing that a lot last week. This week, it was awesome. But it is also the kind of thing where you're like, now that I'm listening to this and grooving, I want to make art. Also, I cleaned the art cave. Oh, hang on. Oh, oh, get the. Mm.
Ping Pang,
So
Walla Walla Bing Bang.
I know none of that looks any different to untrained eyes, but all of the paper crafts are on this side. All of the fabric and costuming is on this side, and everything that isn't either one of those is in here. And every time I move all of my bins of collage scraps and glue, I get really inspired to do something with them. I should probably move them more often because it's an awful lot of real estate for very occasional artwork.
Well, but it's hard to let go of that because it's so hard to get collage material anymore because there's so little paper and stuff.
Yeah, right?
Like,
you could make your own digital collages all day, but
that's not the same.
There's one here and one here. I love me some collage. Anyway, we have a book to read. And I have marked the wrong spot. Was there more catching up?
I don't think so. Oh, I did get, I'm probably not going to have the camera on the sketchbook for logistical reasons, but I got some watercolor pens, so I'm going to play with these.
Ooh. Yeah, you need yourself one of those stands like what Jason made me.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, half the time I'm not even doing anything while you're reading. I don't know if it's that important, but yeah, I got the 24 pack.
Awesome. That's gorgeous. There was one other piece of catching up to do. How do I even begin the rabbit hole? So I went over to Corin and Millie's with Brown, and we were showing each other YouTube videos that the other hadn't seen, and they hadn't seen Starlight Brigade.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Go watch Starlight Brigade as soon as we're done here.
Okay.
It's a music video that looks like it's for an anime that you really, really want to watch as soon as the music video is over, and it turns out to be that's it. That's all you get.
Yeah, music video doesn't exist.
But have you heard of Ninja Sex Party, NSP?
Maybe? Is that a band?
They're a band, yes.
Okay, sounds vaguely familiar.
They're a little like Lonely Island or Flight of the Conchords in their aesthetic. They're funny but original. They're very, very gay. They're just but there's the lead singer and the ninja, and then there's these other guys that are just random ass characters. Well, Corin looked up the characters in the anime that is the Starlight Brigade video, and they are character designs borrowed from NSP. So I've been watching Ninja Sex Party videos all week. But the main character from Starlight Brigade is somebody else, and I haven't gone down that section of the rabbit hole yet, but it's just been fun. And they did a cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and I got it stuck in my head, so I decided to learn the lyrics, because, you know, when you know half a song for 30 years, you eventually are like, I'd like to not go, hey, 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 hey.
Welcome to your life. Most of freedom. Yeah, I get it.
And in learning the lyrics and watching videos and stuff, I learned just as an aside that the song was banned in the UK for a while because it's so apparently about nuclear war.
Well, that explains why it was in Real Genius.
Right? That makes it make so much sense for that for that whole, I mean, the moral of that story was the song, and it felt so incongruous at the time, but it all came together finally in my brain.
That makes so much sense. God, I have something really weird and random stuck in my head. Oh, I got the Money song from Cabaret stuck in my head today. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I was just going, Macarena,
Money, 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 money.
And specifically the part where it's like something about love, and then it's like, but when hunger comes around, then it taps at the window. Who is there? Hunger. Oh.
I was doing my write-ups, right? I've been doing them every day that I can get the energy to, and I was like half asleep the other morning, and I was like, okay, I don't have a quote for plutonium yet. My brain needs to come up with something to quote for plutonium. Like plutonium is going to mean control, right? This was before I fell down any of the rabbit holes, but I had the song stuck in my head already, and I was like, if my brain would just shut up about everybody wants to rule the world, so that I can write a quote about everybody wanting to. Oh. Good fun. All right, that was 5 minutes.
I'll just like show off my pens as I'm swatching them. I haven't used them yet. This one is peach.
Ooh.
This one is lemon yellow.
Lovely.
And I've never
like fill them with water or something.
No, there's a water. So this one's a water pen, so it has a little reservoir. But they have water-based ink. You can just use them like markers, or you can use them like watercolors.
All right.
And they have these brush tips, which I'd never used before. They take a bit of practice.
Yeah, I bet.
Because they're really, really. I'm gonna get ink on my hands, but that's okay. They're super soft.
Ah.
So you put any pressure on them on the paper, and they just kind of sink in.
Right.
If you lighten up the pressure, you can get a really fine line. So.
Oh, I wish you could show us what you're doing. Can't tilt the camera at all. Stack it up.
I mean, I'm really just swatching.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Oh, I do not have the right spot marked.
We were back in Minas Tirith, and we were talking. Denethor and Pippin were talking about Pippin's repertoire of songs, I think.
We're talking about singing?
Yes. This is orange rust. It looks like brown. We will see.
I redyed my hair.
Nice. I did it. It looks better in this light than it looks in real life. Looks a bit moldy at the moment.
Yeah. Brown managed to get a silver streak in their hair by dyeing it blue and then waiting a while.
Yep, that happened.
Yep, it's very pretty.
I have not bleached my hair enough for it to turn silver. Just gets a bit green.
Yeah. Yeah, you need yourself some toner at that point.
Yeah. Quite an interesting color.
I like. It's actually the same as my hair.
It is, yeah.
All right. Songs that make us laugh are about food and drink, of course. Is that where we were at?
Somewhere in that vicinity, yes.
Or our vigil was not fruitless, though it may have been thankless?
No. It was before that.
And why should such songs be unfit for my halls, or for such hours as these? We who have lived long under the shadow may surely listen to echoes from a land untroubled by it, and we may feel that our vigil was not fruitless, though it may have been thankless.
Salty bitch. Denethor is such a salty bitch. Whoa.
They're all such salty bitches.
I mean, yes, that too.
Passive aggressive. Passive aggressive is really strong in Middle Earth. Like,
it's
no
true.
one appreciates me. Pippin's heart sank. He did not relish the idea of singing any song of the Shire to the Lord of Minas Tirith, certainly not the comic ones that he knew best. They were too, rustic for such an occasion. He was, however, spared the ordeal for the present, and that is something that they didn't skip on the movie. Thank God. I love Billy Boyd singing.
Yeah, no, that was one of the really good changes I thought they made, was using that song at that moment and like intercut with the charge. It's just
it's so cool. I was in a theater with a young man who wanted my attention, and the moment Billy Boyd started singing, he was lost. He was gone forever. Like, I did not give him any more attention that night. I was glued.
No young men were involved, but you might have been there when we watched Two Towers in the theater, and when Gandalf and the Rohirrim come over the hill and like the light comes down, I forgot to breathe and I started getting black spots in my vision.
Wow. It's so good. Oh, they're so good.
And I have not watched the movies in quite a while. I need to do that.
We watched them for the New Year. That's our New Year's Eve thing. Is we put it on. Generally, we try to aim for having it done at about just after midnight because
you
it doesn't
started
really feel like hanging out any longer than that.
Yeah.
This year we had to watch half of Return of the King the next day, but there are worse things. Although the second half of Return of the King gets more disappointing every time I see it. Everything else just gets better with age. But that last 40 minutes is like...
Arwen's dress is pretty cool. Also, someone was pointing out on probably Tumblr the other day that, what was it? The only words that Legolas ever says directly to the hobbits in the movies are, "You have my bow." and then later when Frodo's greeting everyone, he's like, "Gandalf, Merry, Pippin," and Legolas walks in and he doesn't say anything. Who the hell are you?
You. Finger guns.
This guy, right? Am I right?
I love this guy. He's the one who look, I'm missing a finger.
Yep.
Even before I'd read the books, I thought that the ending was so, I don't know, more bitter than sweet. And that frustrated me because there were a lot of people I wanted to follow up with. There were a lot of characters that I wanted to see their arc, finish and stuff. And then for the hobbits to go home and have it be like no big thing was, I guess, relatable if you're a soldier. Maybe that's what they were going for, is something a soldier can relate to. But
I mean, I feel like they just didn't have any time to do, like they couldn't have done the Scouring of the Shire. It would have been a fourth movie.
No, but what they could have done is something like Willow, where they come home to the Shire and everyone celebrates and they're like, "How do you even know that we're heroes?" And they're like, "Well, come to the tavern." And they go to the tavern and like Legolas and Gimli are sitting there telling the story of Frodo Nine Fingers to the entire community. And everyone's like, "Wow, you're heroes. Here's some free beer." And then you'd have an actual feeling of the celebration that they had eventually in the book. Like after the Scouring, it's like everything goes well. Everyone is happy. Like people are falling in love and beautiful babies are being born and the bluebirds and happiness and Bill the pony is alive and just...
See, that's what we were really missing, was Sam seeing Bill and being like, "Bill!"
It wouldn't have made sense the way they put it together, though.
No, I know, but I just think it was fantastic. Anyway.
Yeah. But we're not there yet. We have to deal with the Siege of Gondor and stuff first.
And I named this episode Denethor's A+ Parenting.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention his salty bitchery.
Not to mention his salty bitchery. I actually wish I had named this Denethor's salty bitchery.
He was not commanded to sing. Ooh, periwinkle.
Wisteria purple is what it's called. Anyway.
What purple?
Wisteria purple.
Wisteria. I think it's more jacaranda myself.
I don't know what a jacaranda is, so sure. I assume it's purple.
Denethor turned to Gandalf, asking questions about the Rohirrim and their policies, and the position of Éomer, the king's nephew. Pippin marveled at the amount that the lords seemed to know about a people that lived far away. Palantir! Though it must not be many years since Denethor himself had ridden abroad.
But I don't have a
But I
Palantir.
don't have a Palantir. Presently Denethor waved to Pippin and dismissed him again for a while. "Go to the armories of the citadel," he said, "and get you there the livery and gear of the tower. It will be ready. It was commanded yesterday. Return when you are clad, because you're naked."
Right? I was just thinking this is like Pippin's anxiety dream where he shows up to Denethor's halls with fun.
I ever tell you about my backwards naked anxiety dream?
I don't think so.
It was years ago, but I've never forgotten. I dreamed that I was wearing clothes in front of everybody, and it was horrifying because I was playing Lady Godiva. And I was trying to strip backstage, and clothes kept appearing on me. And I stripped and stripped, and my cue got closer and closer. And I finally needed to get on that stage. And I ran out and said my lines and looked down, and there were clothes on me. And I'd ruined the play, and the whole cast was mad, and all those people saw.
I'm so sorry.
It was, as he said, there were clothes waiting for him, in case you forgot what we were on about.
I did, as a matter of fact.
And Pippin soon found himself arrayed in strange garments, all of black and silver, and glossy. He had a small hauberk, its rings forged of steel, maybe, yet black as jet, very gothy, and a high-crowned helm with small raven wings on either side, set with a silver star in the center of the circlet. Above
Continues to
the
be extremely goth.
What?
Like, wait, come on. Come on.
What?
So goth. So gothy.
So gothy. Above the mail was a short surcoat of black, but broidered on the breast in silver with the token of the tree. His old clothes were folded and put away, but he was permitted to keep the grey cloak of Lorien, though not to wear it when on duty. He looked now, had he known it, verily Erneli Perianath, the prince of the halflings that folk had called him, but he felt uncomfortable, and the gloom began to weigh on his spirits. It was dark and dim all day. From the sunless dawn until evening, the heavy shadow had deepened, and all hearts in the city were oppressed. Far above, a great cloud streamed slowly westward from the black land, devouring light, borne upon a wind of war. But below, the air was still and breathless, as if all the vale of Anduin waited for the onset of a ruinous storm. No one writes war like a soldier. Yeah. Still doing the testing of the pens?
Oh, yes. I'm into the greens. So here's what we have.
Ooh. It's a nice selection.
It is a really nice palette. It's like slightly out of order in some spots, so I'm putting it in the color order that I want it in, and then I'm going to do see if I can do a little bit of a blendy gradient situation.
Good plan.
Yeah. Although this isn't watercolor paper, so it's not going to be the happiest with too much water on it.
You don't have any watercolor paper?
I don't actually. I haven't really ever used watercolors that much. I need to get some.
Yeah, no shit. Well, I would say I'd bring you some, but I won't. I'd like to, in my soul.
I can obtain this thing. It will be fine. By the way, green tea right here.
Ooh.
It's hard to see that here. Let me take the.
It's gonna be kind of sagey, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a bit of a sagey, yellowy sort of a green here.
I love sage green.
I'll show you this. This is a very pretty color.
Oh, I like that. It's got a lot of yellow in it.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like the got the shade of green that I always want to wear, but anything with that much yellow in it makes me look dead.
Yeah, I've got a fair amount of like sage to avocado. I don't think I have much with that much yellow in it either, because it makes my face even brighter red.
Yeah, anything that's like the earth tones, yellow and orange and brown, just is not good for me.
I can pull off orange apparently, which is good because I like it, but it might just be because I'm stubborn. About the 11th hour, released at last for a while from service, Pippin came out and went in search of food and drink to cheer his heavy heart and make his task of waiting more supportable. In the messes, he met Beregond again, who had just come from an errand over the Pelennor out to the guard towers upon the causeway. Together they strolled out to the walls, for Pippin felt imprisoned indoors and stifled even in a lofty citadel. Now they sat side by side again in the embrasure looking eastward, where they had eaten and talked the day before. Dear, they were there 2 months ago? When did we read that scene?
Tawny. Check my calendar. This color is called tawny.
It's not. That's too dark to be tawny. That's like milk chocolate.
Well, chocolate was the color before it. This is
Milk
okay. This is a grayer toned brown, so it's the lower one.
Okay, I see it.
It's
not tawny though. Tawny, it might be tawny if you watered it down like a lot, but it's not not a beigey taupey kind of color.
That's true. Indeed.
It was the sunset hour, but the great Paul?
I've always said it Paul.
Paul had now stretched far into the west. Only as it sank at last into the sea did the sun escape to send out a brief farewell gleam before the night, even as Frodo saw it at the crossroads, touching the head of the fallen king. But to the fields of the Pelennor, under the shadow of Mindolluin, there came no gleam. They were brown and drear. Already it seemed
color name for a marker.
Drear. No one uses that word enough. How are you feeling today? Drear.
The series that I really like, the Lost Tomb series, Gideon the Ninth and Harrow the Ninth. The place where they grow up is called the Drearburg.
Nice.
Right.
It's like the doldrums.
It's real gothy.
I'm still reading Percy to Abby. I'll make it through the 5 books, and then he can read more Rick Riordan on his own because I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled by the wordsmiths. I cannot read non-wordsmith books and enjoy it as much as a normal human. Yeah. Already it seemed years to Pippin, yeah, me too, since he had sat there before. In some half-forgotten time when he had still been a hobbit. A light-hearted wanderer touched little by the perils he had passed through. Now he was one small soldier in a city preparing for a great assault, clad in the proud but somber manner of the Tower of Guard. Yeah. In some other time and place, Pippin might have been pleased with his new array. He knew now that he was taking part in no play. He was in deadly earnest, the servant of a grim master in the greatest peril. The hauberk was burdensome, and the helm weighed upon his head. His cloak he had cast aside upon the seat. He turned his tired gaze away from the darkling fields below and yawned, and then he sighed. You are weary of this day? Said Beregond. Yes, said Pippin, very tired out with idleness and waiting. I have kicked my heels at the door of my master's chamber for many slow hours while he has debated with Gandalf and the prince. You know, Prince Imrahil.
Who?
and other great persons. And I'm not used, Master Beregond, to waiting hungry on others while they eat. It is a sore trial for a hobbit, that. No doubt you will think I should feel the honour more deeply. But what is the good of such honour? Indeed, what is the good even of food and drink under this creeping shadow? What does it mean? The very air seems thick and brown. Do you often have such glooms when the wind is in the east? Nay, said Beregond, this is no weather of the world. This is some device of his malice, some broil or fumes from the mountain of fire that he sends to darken hearts and counsel. And so it doth, indeed. I wish the Lord Faramir would return. He would not be dismayed. He's perfect.
Oh, did we forget about Marty Stew?
But now who knows if he will ever come back across the river out of the darkness? Yes, said Pippin. Gandalf, too, is anxious. He was disappointed, I think, not to find Faramir here. And where has he got to himself? He left the Lord's council before the noon meal, and in no good mood either, I thought. Perhaps he has some foreboding of bad news.
Perhaps Denethor is a bitch.
He is a bitch. And not just a salty bitch, but a bad parent bitch.
Faramir, are you going to bring me my tattoo and spray it to my hat? All right, see, that's tawny.
Okay, that looks much more tawny, yes.
That's just with some water.
Okay, in that case, they're allowed to call it that. Oh, I have gotten into arguments online with people who think Denethor is like tragic and relatable, and I'm like, I don't want to know you.
Tragically what and relatable to whom?
Suddenly, as they talked, they were stricken dumb, frozen as it were to listening stones. Pippin cowered down with his hands pressed to his ears, but Beregond, who had been looking out from the battlement as he spoke of Faramir, remained there, stiffened, staring out with starting eyes. Pippin knew the shuddering cry that he had heard. It was the same that he had heard long ago in the marish of the Shire, but now it was grown in power and hatred, piercing the heart with a poisonous despair. At last Beregond spoke with an effort. "They have come," he said. "Take courage and look. There are fell things below." Reluctantly, Pippin climbed onto the seat and looked out over the wall. The Pelennor lay dim beneath him, fading away to the scarce-guessed line of the great river. But now, wheeling swiftly across it like shadows of untimely night, he saw in the middle airs below him 5 bird-like forms, horrible as carrion fowl, yet greater than eagles, cruel as death. Dinosaurs!
That would actually be heckin' cool.
Right? Oh, my Nazgul have lost their horses. I'm going to give them fucking pteranodons.
Right?
Back is very itchy, and I don't know if I have anything in here to scratch it.
For some reason, that just reminded me of a joke. Not that your back is itchy, but talking about dinosaurs.
Oh, okay.
I told my girlfriend that she was wrong and I wasn't too obsessed with dinosaurs. She was just silent like the P in pterodactyl.
Awesome. Every so often, I see the meme go through that says, when you grow up, people stop asking you what your favorite dinosaur is. It's very sad. And I'm like, Therizinosaurus, bitches. Therizinosaurus is the best one.
Okay, I can never remember the scientific name of the one with the really big head that walks on its wings, but that one. Hang on. We're Googling this.
Quetzalcoatl?
Well, Quetzalcoatl, it might be like, Quetzalcoatlus,
Quetzalcoatlus.
which was a pterosaur.
Indeed.
Like, that, like, first of all, would be terrifying, but second of all, would be a really great thing for the Nazgul to ride because, like, they were giant and they could land and walk and just be so scary.
So scary. Oh my god, that would be so scary.
Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's funny to me that of all of the like, so everyone who's written any fantasy after Tolkien has copied his sort of elves thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to his dragon-like creatures, like all of the dragons that were officially dragons in Middle-earth were absolute bastards.
Yeah.
And then there's these guys, which are just called fell beasts, but they're dragon-like, and they're also awful, and they smell, and they're stinky and hideous and horrible. And it's like nobody's followed that trend. Everyone's like, he was wrong about those.
I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of dragons, so I can't fault him for that.
Me too. Me too.
Mm.
You never read The Children of Húrin, did you?
No, I never did.
Don't.
Okay, I think you probably told me that. You were probably like, don't read this.
Don't read this. It's just bad things happen. It's an actual series of unfortunate events, and there's never, ever a happy ending.
Well, yeah, no interest in that. Thanks much.
Yeah. One of the bits is a dragon is dying, and it enchants a young woman with amnesia. He gives her amnesia. She remembers absolutely nothing after gazing into the dragon's eye. She's totally a clean slate, falls in love with the first man he sees, who is absolutely her brother.
Oh, yep. That sounds folkloric.
Yeah. Yeah, she's 8 months pregnant when she gets her memories back and realizes what's happened and flings herself off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, like, just don't. Just people.
What's her brother's excuse?
What?
What's her brother's excuse? Does he not remember her?
I remember her because she was that much younger than him.
Oh.
And she'd grown up and he didn't expect her to, and I think he thought she was dead.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give him a pass then. I was about to be like, I have some questions for the person without amnesia in this scenario.
Yeah, no, his excuses made sense too. That's the problem. It all made sense. And they were both very lovable people, so of course they would, and of course they felt a connection, and it's just it's so rough.
Yeah, that's a real life phenomenon too.
Yeah. Turin is so very cursed that when his like he and his buddies are attacked by orcs in the dark, he ends up stabbing his best friend. Fog, not just the dark, but darkness and fog, and he's kicking ass because he's a fucking hero, and he manages to stab his best friend to death.
I would consider another line of work.
Right?
Like, how cursed could I be as, for example, well, now I'm trying to think of anything that you couldn't be cursed at, and I can't think of anything. But then kiln?
Just be a beggar. Just go to some random ass city and wear rags on your feet and talk to the rats. Like, do not attempt to have a high destiny. And the whole reason for all of this nonsense is that their father, Húrin, was captured by Morgoth and refused to give away, like, I think he knew the location of Gondolin or something. He had some pretty powerful information. and torture wouldn't get it out of him, so Morgoth enchanted him so that he never had to eat or sleep, and then like nailed him to the side of the mountain and gave him supernatural vision so that he could watch what happened to his family, and then set the Morgoth curse on the whole family.
What a dick.
Yes. Yep. It wasn't even Turin's fault that he was cursed to nail his sister and stab his buddy. Like it was just someone getting vengeance on his daddy.
Something daddy issues. Something. One sec, I need to tie my hair back because it's driving me insane.
Okay. The virtues of the father will be visited on the children, I guess. Some people like tragedies. I like tragedies so little I tend to rewrite them. I have a AU of Hamlet where, in fact, Hamlet's insane and no one's dead. No one dies. The whole thing was his hallucination. And the king was gay and told his wife on their wedding day, like, I have zero interest in siring a child on you. And she was like, cool, bring me your brother. So when the king dies and she marries the brother, it's because she's marrying Hamlet's actual father. That's my... Just talking to myself. What?
I thought you were still talking about Turin.
No, I was talking about Hamlet at this point because I think that would be a really fun retelling. I did watch Ophelia. We watched Ophelia with Daisy Ridley. I think I told you last week.
Mentioned it.
Yeah, it is good.
Lovely. I was going to say something. Brown marker is not very powerful.
It does nothing.
It is not brown enough for me. I was going to say, did you see that? We may have talked about this already, but there's a video going around by a guy talking about the way that you could make a good remake of Princess Bride. Have we talked about this?
With Muppets?
No.
Oh.
So he says, and I think he has a point here, but we can discuss. One moment, I need to get this. So he says that the point is the Princess Bride is not about Wesley and Buttercup. It's not about Inigo and Fezzik. At its heart, it's about storytelling. So he says what he would do as a setup is Fred Savage is a grown-up and he's going to work and he talks to his coworker, played by Queen Latifah, and says, hey, what are you up to this evening? And she goes, oh, well, I have to go take care of my granddaughter because she's sick and my daughter has to work. And Fred Savage goes, here, this is the book that my grandpa used to read me when I was sick. Maybe she'd like to hear it. And so the rest of the movie is how Queen Latifah's granddaughter imagines the story as read by her grandmother.
Oh, that would be so good.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I was like, he's totally right.
That would be so good. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'd love that. I would watch that.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Watch the hell out of that. They pause at different parts. The little one would be interrupting different bits.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing would feel like a completely different story, but it would be recognizably the same. I would love that.
Right. Like, somebody get this man a contract. Let's make this happen.
Right? And yeah. I'm picturing that. That would be really good. That would be really good.
Mm-hmm. Like the granddaughter could be like a fish enthusiast, so they have to pause with the shrieking eels for her to explain why eels can't shriek. All her posters on her walls are fish and like.
The ROUSs would have to be discussed like as a phenomenon. Like she's like, are these capybaras? Because those aren't scary. They're really cute. Like she's picturing capybaras at first. Like, they are the world's largest rodent. Why would that be terrifying?
She's
Like
got
that
like
big
pet rats. She's like, Grandma, this isn't scary. And then Queen Latifah has to change it. She's like, oh, did I say rodents? I meant turtles of unusual size. And then it's just like a giant snapping turtle.
Or we see an adorable capybara and the grandma's like, but they have big teeth, and then teeth and spikes, and they're bald, wrinkly. Giant naked mole rats. That's what you should picture, kiddo. Oh God.
Yeah, I don't like picturing that either.
Hang on, I feel like we could make it there on the next page. There's a break. So horrible as carrion foul the Quetzalcoatluses are.
See?
Now they swooped near, venturing almost within bowshot of the walls. Now they circled away. Black riders, muttered Pippin. Black riders of the air. But see, Beregond, he called. They're looking for something, surely. See how they wheel and swoop always down to that point over there. And can you see something moving on the ground? Dark little things. Yes, men on horses. 4 or 5. I cannot stand it! Gandalf! Gandalf, save us! Another long screech arose and fell, and he threw himself back again from the wall, panting like a hunted animal. Faint and seemingly remote through the shuddering cry, he heard winding up from below the sound of a trumpet, ending on a long, high note. Faramir! The Lord Faramir! It is his call! Cried Beregond. Brave heart! And he's sexy, too.
I was thinking Braveheart. Freedom! I can attack our lives!
I hope Eowyn is okay with a polycule.
What?
I'm thinking I hope Eowyn is okay with a polycule.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she values freedom. But how can he win to the gate if these foul hell-hawks have other weapons than fear? But look, they hold on. They will make the gate. No, the horses are running mad. Look, the men are thrown. They are running on foot. No, one is still up, but he rides back to the others. That will be the captain. He can master both beasts and men.
Okay, can he now?
Ah, there one of the foul things is stooping on him. Help! Help! Will no one go out to him? Faramir! With that, Beregond sprang away and ran off and boing! I'm sorry, every time we've discussed this, anytime anyone springs.
Yep.
And ran off into the gloom. Ashamed of his terror, while Beregond of the guard thought first of the captain whom he loved, not to put too fine a point on it, Pippin got up and peered out. At that moment he caught a flash of white and silver coming from the north like a small star down on the dusky fields. It moved with the speed of an arrow and grew as it came, converging swiftly with the flight of the 4 men towards the gate. It seemed to Pippin that a pale light was spread about it, and the heavy shadows gave way before it. And then, as it drew near, he thought that he heard, like an echo in the walls, a great voice calling. Gandalf! He cried. Gandalf! He always turns up when things are darkest. Go on, White Rider! Gandalf! Gandalf! He shouted wildly, like an onlooker at a great race urging on a runner who is far beyond encouragement. But now the dark, swooping shadows were aware of the newcomer. One wheeled towards him, but it seemed to Pippin that he raised his hand, and from it a shaft of white light stabbed upwards. The Nazgul gave a long wailing cry and swerved away, and with that the 4 others wavered, and then, rising in swift spirals, they passed away eastward, vanishing into the lowering cloud above. And down on the Pelennor, it seemed for a while less dark. It's 7:59, and we haven't made it to a page break, but it's 7:59.
Will do. So here's the, nope, this way. Here's the second part of my test.
Ooh.
That's
Oh, so pretty. That is awesome. I love
I really like how the grays blended out. Like the warmer colors did okay, but the grays just had that nice like
Yes, that is the technical term for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm a professional. Something.
I have to share with you a family story because it made me laugh so hard. But I try not to tell it in front of him because I don't want him getting cocky about his cleverness. Abby had a quiz today in science, and one of the questions was, in your own words, tell me what an atomic number is, I think, in your own words. And he looked at me for a minute and said,
Does he sound as much like an Ewok as you did?
No, that's just me, but it was totally his own word.
Good job, kids. Obey the letter of the law, but not the spirit.
Yeah, I gave him the point. He knows what an atomic number is. He's been watching me do my fucking table for 2 years, so...
I was going to say, there's no way your kid does not know what an atomic number is.
Yeah. He just felt like being a salty bitch.
Indeed. I mean, he explained to me what RNA was when he was like 5.
Yes. Anything that you can learn on YouTube, if you have parents paying attention and letting you, like, only watch things that are valid.
Indeed. The funniest part of that anecdote to me is that being who I am and our family being who we are, it wasn't until someone else said, like, wow, that was amazing that he knew. I was just like, yeah, obviously that's what RNA is. It didn't occur to me that it was weird that the 5-year-old knew that.
Yeah, no, it's not in our family.
No.
We like knowledge.
Last time I was over at Sandy's house, Felix was reading me his book.
How old is he now? 3.5?
3.5. He mostly is just memorizing, but he knows all the letters also.
Yeah. Awesome. So. You know, and it's awesome when kids aren't into that yet. Like, that's cool too. But yeah, celebrate it all. I love you.
I love you too. I will talk to you next week.
Yes, indeed. Cuidado.
Yeah. Wait, which hand am I doing this in? There we go.